Acharya Ashtotarta Shishimad Abhay Charanarvindam Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananda Kori Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai ISKCON Bhagavati Sangstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Shrimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Shrimati Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 16, entitled Krishna Chastises the Serpent Kaliya. So we're on text number 52, which has no purport. So we'll read these up to text number 56, and then we'll chant together number 56, which has a purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text number 52. Anugri Nishva Bhagavan Pranhams Tyajata Pranagaha Strinam Na Sadhu Sochanam Pati Prana Pradiyatam. Translation. O Supreme Lord, please be merciful. It is proper for the saintly to feel compassion for women like us. This serpent is about to give up his life. Please give us back our husband, who is our life and soul. Text 53. Videhi te kinkarinam anusteyam tava gyagya yachchadha yamatis tangvai muchete sarvato bhayat. Translation. Now please tell us, your maidservants, what we should do. Certainly anyone who faithfully executes your order is automatically freed from all fear. Purport. The surrender of Kaliya's wives was now complete, and Lord Krishna immediately gave them his mercy, as described in the following verses. Shri Sukha Uvacha Itiyam na naga pratnibir Bhagavan sama vishtutaha munachchaitam bhagna sirasam vishar jabhir Kutagnai. Shukadeva Goswami said, thus praised by the Nagapatnis, the Supreme Personality of Godhead released the serpent Kaliya, who had fallen unconscious, his head battered by the striking of the Lord's lotus feet. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Lord Krishna, upon reaching his decision, immediately jumped down from Kaliya's hoods and stood before the serpent with his wives. We should remember that when Lord Krishna executed these pastimes, he was just a young village boy in Vrindavan. Text 55. Pratilabdha den indriya prana kaliya shanakayar harim krichstrat samuchavan dhinaha krishnam praha kritanjali. Translation. Kaliya slowly regained his vital force and sensory functions. Then, breathing loudly and painfully, the poor serpent addressed Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in humble submission. Text 56. So we can chant this one together. Kaliuvacha Vayam Kalai Sahut Pratya Vayam Kala Sahut Patya Tamasa Dirga Manyavaha Swabhavo Dustya Janata Swabhavo Dustya Janata Lokanam Yad Asadgraha Lokanam Yad Asadgraha Kaliuvacha Swayam Kala Sahotpatya Tamasa Dirgha Manyavaha Swabhavo Dustya Jonata Lokanam Yada Sadgraha Kaliuvacha Vayam Kala Sahotpatya Tamasa Dirgha Manyavaha Swabhavo Dustya Jonata Lokanam Yada Sadgraha Kaliuvacha Vayam Kala Sahotpatya Tamasa Dirgha Manyavaha Swabhavo Dustya Jonata Lokanam Sadasatgraha Swabhavo Dustya Jonata Lokanam Yada Sadgraha Kaliuvacha Vayam Kala Sahotpatya Tamasadhirgamanyavaha Kaliuvacha Vayam Kalasahutpatya Tamasadhirgamanyavaha Svabhava Dustya Jonata Ladies, Vayam Kalasahutpatya Kaliuvacha Kaliya said, Vayam, we, Kalaha, envious, Saha Upatya, by our very birth, Tamasaha, of ignorant nature, Dhirgha Manyavaha, constantly angry, Swabhavaha, one's natural nature, Dustyaja is very difficult to give up. Nata, O Lord, Lokanam, for ordinary persons. Yat, because of which, Asat, of the unreal and impure. Graha, the acceptance. Translation. The serpent, Kaliya said, our very birth as a snake has made us envious, ignorant, and constantly angry. O my Lord, it is so difficult for people to give up their conditioned nature, by which they identify with that which is unreal. Responsively, please repeat. The serpent Kaliya said, our very birth as a snake has made us envious, ignorant and constantly angry. O my Lord, it is so difficult for people to give up their conditioned nature, by which they identify with that which is unreal. Purport. Srila Sanatana Goswami points out that because of his wretched condition, Kaliya was unable to compose original prayers to the Lord, and thus he paraphrased some of the prayers offered by his wives. The word asadgraha indicates that a conditioned soul seizes upon impermanent and impure things, such as his own body, the bodies of others, and countless varieties of material sense objects. The ultimate result of such material attachment is frustration, disappointment, and anguish, a fact that now has become crystal clear to the poor serpent, Kaliya. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Meditam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vacha Lampangum Langayate Gadim Yat kripa taraham bande Shri Guru Dinataranam Ramanam Namadavam Shri Chaitanya Ishvaram. So, we see here that the wives of Kaliya, the Nagapatnis, have just finished offering their prayers to Lord Krishna, who is dancing on the hoods of Kaliya. Kaliya had entered into the lake by the Jamuna and had made the waters poisonous. It was so poisonous that when birds flew over the lake, they would die from the fumes of the poison and drop down into it. Right? We have a similar situation in Bombay today. Right? The air is so polluted that every day people die in the hospital. I know we're all hearing about Corona and COVID and how people are dying from that, but that's not the only thing they're dying from. People are also dying from polluted air. Right? People's lungs are very weak due to the pollution. Yeah. They say, Sundara Bombay, Marathi Bombay. But what Sundara? Dirty place, dirty air. Huh? People are living in the cities like smoking 5 packs of cigarettes every day. Lungs become that condition. Right? So the snake, Kaliya, had polluted the lake next to the Jamuna. Similarly, the inhabitants of this city, Bombay, have polluted the city by their natures. What was Kaliya's nature? His nature was that he was a snake. Snakes, by their nature, they're always envious, right? That's why Krishna has them crawl on the ground, right? Due to their envious nature. And they're angry. Right? Envious, the snake will bite another living entity for no reason. Right? In the same way, in this material world, people have become envious. Right? Envious. And they have acquired this envious nature due to association with the 3 modes of material nature. Right? Passion and ignorance. There's very little goodness. Right? Mostly passion and ignorance. And this increases the envy that's there. Right? Everyone is envious of everyone else in this material world. Right? If I see something bad that happens to someone else, an envious person becomes happy. Oh, see? Right? A Vaishnava is not like that. A Vaishnava is very concerned about the sufferings of other living entities. A Vaishnava wants to help. Right? So sometimes we think we become Vaishnava just because we put tilak, or we have kantimala, or japamala. You can put tilak, you can put kantimala, and that will get you in the prasadam hall, but it won't get you into the spiritual world. There has to be parivartan, a change of heart. The heart has to change. Just see how Krishna has so much love for his devotees. This Kaliya serpent was nothing for him. But because the devotees in Vrindavan Their very life and soul is Krishna. When they saw that he was caught by the snake Kaliya, who was trying to bite him, they became senseless. Mother Yashoda, she went to run to the water to save her child. Of course, Balaram was watching and he was smiling, right? Because he knew the power of his brother, Krishna. Now the materialists, they will say that this is all mythology. It was written by the poets, or Vyasadeva wrote it, just to give some ethical instructions to the people. But this is an atheistic interpretation. Just because the atheists don't have information of 1,000-hooded snake, therefore they say it's mythology. But the devotees of the Lord, they have firm faith that yes, Kaliya was there and Krishna danced on his hoods. The serpent was trying to bite Krishna, and Krishna battered down the serpent's hoods by dancing. It was just like a dance. And the jewels on the hoods of the serpent Kaliya cast a red reflection on Krishna's lotus feet. It became very attractive, like a performance, a dance performance. And the demigods, they came to see. And play drums and musical instruments in the dance performance of Krishna. So the atheists may say this is mythology, but we, the devotees of the Lord, have firm faith that no, these are Krishna's pastimes. They actually happened. And yes, they do give an instruction. They give us an instruction, undoubtedly. And the serpent Kaliya, he also, although his heads were battered by the dancing of Krishna's feet, he also learned the lesson. He learned the lesson that he became free of his envy. He became free of his envy, no more envy of Krishna. And he realized that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's described in Srimad Bhagavatam that there's two types of householders. There's the Grihamedi and the Grihastha. So Bhagavatam describes that the householder who's envious of other householders is the Grihamedi. The Grihamedis are very much interested in materialistic life. They're referred to by Prahlad Maharaj as Griha Bratanam. Griha Bratanam. They've taken a vow. Bratanam, Brat. Just like Kartik is there. So some devotees take a vow, they'll chant more rounds. Or some devotees in the Kartik month, which is known as Niyam Mas. It's the month where you take some brata and you follow that. So these Grihamedis, they've also taken a brata. What's their brata? They'll stay in household life, whatever it is. Right? That's their Griha Bratanam. They have their children. The Vedic system is that because the Grihastha they're in the, Andakupam, the dark well of household life, but their duty is to free the children from this dark well of household life, right? To become non-envious, to become a grihastha, not a grihamedi. Right? So they send their children to the Gurukul. Kul, place, Guru, the place of the Guru. Why? Because he's not envious. He's free from envy. And the children can learn how to become free from envy. So they'll become saved. Right? See how this Kaliya, he had to be punished. Of course, he was punished by the lotus feet of Krishna. And the Nagapatnis, his wives, were amazed at what kind of pious acts he must have done to be in touch with the lotus feet of Krishna. In the same way, if one is very, very fortunate, one can come in contact with the lotus feet, with the dust of the lotus feet of this pure devotee of the Lord. This is very essential for our spiritual life. Right? Everyone is born in this material world filled with envy. Ultimately, one is envious of Krishna, because Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. The Supreme Lord has his devotees in Vrindavan. And the devotees, for them, Krishna is their very life and soul. Just see how when Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj saw Krishna in the coils of Kaliya, they became completely devastated. Because Krishna is everything for them. Everything. In the material world, our consciousness is not like that. Yes, we know of Krishna. We may have heard that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he's not everything. We have so many things. Bibi, bacha, bungalow, gadi, right? They're not everything. We have so many things. We have some children, then we have grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Goes on expanding what we have attachment for. But the residents of Vrindavan have no attachment. Their only attachment is for Krishna. They have attachment, but where is that attachment? For Krishna, only Krishna. So we can understand how difficult it is, one, to give up our envious nature. It's not easy. Right? It's not even so apparent to us that we're envious. Just like Kaliya, he's saying, my dear Lord, finally he understood after he was hammered, beat by the feet of Krishna. Then he understood, yes, it's not easy for us to give up our envious nature. We're born as a serpent, right? In Shastras it's described how a serpent can be controlled, right? There's some snake charmers. They know how to play the flute in such a way that that snake comes under control, right? Have you ever seen that? Sometimes at Kumbh Mela, they keep a snake in the basket and they play and the snake comes up, right? So the snake, although they become controlled by that flute, it's music, right? But Shastra describes, although the envious snake can be controlled by the charmer, snake charmer, an envious person can never be controlled. So Kaliya, he's saying it's very difficult to give up this envious nature. We don't even know we're envious. We think it's our nature that, it's natural. That if somebody goes ahead, I become upset. Right? That's not Vaikuntha Bhav. Right? The Vaishnava sees that someone makes some advancement in devotional service, they become happy. If they get some seva to do for the Lord, they become happy. Not that they're thinking how to pull that person down or put that person to the side. This is material consciousness. It's not Krishna consciousness. So Kaliya understood, but he had to be battered. He had to be banged. And it's the same for us. Right? We're in this material world. And we have to get banged. Right? Kaliya was fortunate. He got banged by the feet of Krishna. But we shouldn't count on that. We'll be banged by the material energy. Right? Sometimes we think, oh, I got sick. I'm a devotee. I'm chanting. How can I get sick? No. You have a material body. Right? And the devotee sees whatever happens to him for his own good. Krishna's trying to teach him something. What is Krishna trying to teach us? He's trying to teach us how to see our envious nature and to give up our envious nature, give up our anger, so that we can enter. We can become fit. We can become fit to enter into the spiritual world. Now we're not fit. Just because you keep the Kantimala and Japamala and Tilak, you don't automatically become fit. You have to work hard at chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's why Srila Prabhupada had instituted the Gurukul system. Sometimes it's difficult for parents to see the spiritual benefit of the child. Because children, they control the parents. And the parent says, oh, my. Here, take the toy, right? Whining. Children, they're not stupid. They're very intelligent how to control. Very good at it, right? So that's why, no, you go to Gurukul. Guru strict. Het, beto, uto. The system in Gurukul. If the spiritual master doesn't call the boy for taking food, he doesn't eat. Strictness. Tapasya. Otherwise, how is it possible to give up this envious nature? Not possible. There's a nice verse in Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaj, who was just a child himself. See if I can read it. There's not much light here. As you get older, everything kind of fades away, your vision and your hearing, and it gets less and less, right? Great. We need some light. We need a focus light here for us old folks. Shri Prahladu Vacha Matirna Krishne Parato Svatova mito bhipadyet griha vratanam adhandagobir vishitam tamishram puna punascharvita charananam. Prahlad Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations towards Krishna are never aroused, either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. Na te vatu svartakatim hi vishnum durashraya ye bahir artamanina andaya rupaniyamana te pisha tantram urudham nibaddaha. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men, guided by another blind man, miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men, led by another materially attached man, are bound by the ropes of fruit of labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. So, Prahlad Maharaj, he talks about the Griha Vratanam, the persons that are determined to stay in material life. So it's not possible for them to come out from this unless they come in contact with somebody who's freed. If you want to be untied, you're tied up, then someone who's not tied, someone who's free, they can untie you. If both persons are tied, how will they help each other? Not possible. But if they go to someone who is untied, that person can free them. Spiritual life is like that. So therefore, the children, boys were sent to Gurukul to have the association of Guru, someone who's untied, who can teach them and train them in spiritual life. Spiritual life is a matter of training. That one performs sadhana, regular practices, so that the senses come under control and one can focus on the real purpose of life, which is meant to go home back to Godhead and enjoy with Krishna. One can become protected by Krishna. Krishna fully protects his devotees. We see in this pastime of Kaliya how Krishna protected his devotees. Chastised Kaliya, sent him off to another place. And so we're looking for that protection. That's what we want. We want to be protected. And that real protection comes from Krishna. We may think that our insurance policy is protecting us. What is that? Somebody else gets money after you die. What kind of protection is that? Somebody else gets the money after you die. Is that protection? That's not insurance policy. What are you insured of? Nothing. Real insurance is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna's name is the real protection in this world. It is the method that can free us from the envy that's within our hearts, so that we can make ourselves fit and qualified to enter into the pastimes of Krishna in the spiritual world. This is the goal of life. This is the responsibility of parents. Your responsibility is not that your child should become, have a college education and earn money. What is the value of that? Huh? If they don't become free from envy and stop this cycle of birth and death, you have not completed your responsibility as a parent. What it's like taking a small child to a well, and throwing that child in the well. Right? Is that a very good thing? Or take a blind person to the edge of the building and throw him off the building. That's what it is. It's like that. Parent, guru, they have a responsibility to their disciples and to the children. What is that responsibility? That they should have education and eat nicely? Or the guru should get a dakshin and live nicely? Huh? No. That responsibility is to see they don't take birth again in this material world. This idea that we'll work very hard and we'll earn money, whole city of Bombay is caught up in that. Right? Why? Why they'll sit 2 hours in traffic, 2.5 hours. When I first came to Bombay, you could get downtown in 45 minutes in traffic. And now, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, every year it's increasing. Huh? Why they take such austerity, such tapasya? For what? So they can enjoy sense gratification. But what is that enjoyment? Right? Rather, Prahlad Maharaj says, whatever enjoyment is meant to come to you will come, whether you spend 2 hours of traffic or not, because it's destined. Just like you don't want suffering, but it comes of its own accord due to our prarabdha, karma. Suffering comes. We don't look for it. Nobody goes into the market looking for a bottle of cancer. No. But cancer comes. Is it not? Same way Prahlad Maharaj says, how much happiness you're meant to have, that you will get, whether you spend 2.5 hours or 3.5 hours or 4.5 hours in the traffic. So don't waste your time. Don't waste your time thinking that you're going to increase your happiness by working hard like a donkey so that you can get money. No. Rather, Prahlad Maharaj says, make the best use of your time by rendering devotional service, by hearing about Krishna, by chanting Krishna's name. And this will only happen, an attraction for these things can only happen if you have the proper association. You need that association. Therefore, we're distributing Srila Prabhupada's books in this month of December so that people can get the proper association. They can get association with Srila Prabhupada. Once Srila Prabhupada came to the Denver airport, and the reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, in those days, the devotees would go to the airport and have a big kirtan in the airport. When Prabhupada would get off the plane, the devotees would be there chanting, big kirtan, and the TV reporter, newspaper reporter would also come. Nowadays, nobody can get in the airport unless they have a ticket, and also the COVID test and injection and all. Every year, new things. But in those days, it was open. So Srila Prabhupada came off the plane, there was a big kirtan, and the newspaper reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, what will happen to this movement after you die? And Srila Prabhupada said, I will never die. And all the devotees went, Haribo! Srila Prabhupada said, because I will live forever in my books. So when we are distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, what are we giving? We're giving them Prabhupada. We're giving them Srila Prabhupada. A devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord, of very exceptional accomplishments. Right? How can you tell a pure devotee of the Lord? Because that by their association, others become devotees of Krishna. They chant Hare Krishna. So that association is required. Then we can develop an attraction for the process of hearing about Krishna's pastimes so that we can become purified and make it out of this material world back home, back to the spiritual world, our real place. We're not meant to live in a rotten place where the air is unbreathable. 5 packs of cigarettes a day. We're not meant to live here. We're meant to live in our original home where everything is fresh, everything is clean, everything is pure. In Kali Yuga, everything becomes more and more impure. The other day it came in the paper that even the milk, right? It's got so many different adulterated things. They even put sometimes shampoo in the milk, right? Not real, not pure. Nothing's pure. In Kali Yuga. Our real place is a pure place in the spiritual world. And this movement is meant to help people get to the spiritual world. Right? So we invite everyone to take advantage of this Krishna consciousness movement and chant Hare Krishna, make their life perfect, and help others make their life perfect. Give them this transcendental knowledge through the sale and distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books. Read the books, help others understand the books, understand them ourselves. And in this way, this ISKCON movement becomes the highest humanitarian work. It's real humanitarian work. The so-called humanitarian organizations, they're not really helping people towards the ultimate goal of life. I may give someone some food or some clothing, but again they'll become hungry, again they'll become in need of so many things. But if we show them how they can transport themselves back to the spiritual world, then no more hunger, no more requirements, everything is there. No more birth, no more death, no more old age, no more disease. Modern society fancies itself that, oh, we're curing the diseases. Well, if they're curing the diseases, why are we building more and more hospitals? Every time, oh, new hospital, Apollo Hospital, this hospital, that hospital. Right? Where's the cure? The only solution to the problems of humanity is to take to this Krishna consciousness movement, chant the holy name of Krishna, and go back home, back to the spiritual world. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions?
You are saying that about anomalies of the Kali Yuga. Beside this, who is the responsibility, how it can be counteracted, anomalies? I would like to know. Is it depend on the administration Everywhere there are people are ruling president, India, America, Europe. So how this, as you say that, how it can be, who's the responsible for this?
Responsible for the anomalies of the material world?
Counteract.
How can we counteract?
Yeah.
Well, I described that. You have to chant Hare Krishna, get association, proper association. Then individually, the bad qualities that are there in Kali Yuga will become rectified in our own lives. And collectively, if we chant the holy name of Krishna, we can push back the effects of Kali Yuga. The sages at Naimisharanya, they wanted to keep Kali Yuga away by having a yajna. They wanted to have a yajna to keep the effects, the bad qualities of Kali Yuga. Right? People take on the bad qualities. They're not truthful. Manda sumanda mateo manda bhagya. Right? They're lazy for spiritual life in Kali Yuga. So to push that back, they wanted to have a yajna. But due to Kali Yuga, that sacrifice didn't work. They couldn't even light the fire. Previously, the Brahmins were so qualified that they could light the sacrificial fire by chanting a mantra. Nowadays, we use matches, But then, simply by mantra. But in Kali Yuga, where are the qualified Brahmins? And so they were frustrated in their attempt. But then they had the good fortune to meet Sutta Goswami, who had heard Srimad Bhagavatam in the conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. So he related that Bhagavatam to the sages headed by Sanak in the Naimisharanya. And that is the way that in Kali Yuga, all the bad effects that are there can be eliminated by hearing and chanting the holy name.
Why I'm asking this question? Because the administration nowadays, you can see, they encourage these four sinful pillar activities. That is so how to, because they are ruling. Devotees are not ruling the country. Prabhupada said, I was hearing, the ruler must be a great devotee of the Lord, like Parikshit Maharaj. So how, this has to be,
Well, one thing that Prabhupada mentions in Srimad Bhagavatam is that now, previously the government was by kings, right? But now they've done away with kings. And instead we have democracy. So one way to take control is that if the people, a good percentage of the people, chant the holy name of Krishna and become purified in their lives, then there's a chance that they'll elect purified leaders, pure leaders. And that situation that you're discussing, where the administration also understands the goal of life, can come into effect. It's possible. But that's all right. We don't have to. The world is upside down. It's completely mad. But that doesn't mean we have to be mad, right? In our communities, they can be based on the principles of Bhagavatam, based on the instructions of Krishna and Bhagavad Gita. And in a microcosm, we can have freedom from the effects of Kali Yuga by the association of like-minded devotees. In the macroism, in the big picture, it may take some time, but we don't have to wait for that. In our own lives, we can make Krishna the center of our lives. We can make Krishna the most important thing for us, right? Doesn't mean you have to, everybody has to join the temple. Doesn't mean that. We don't have room anyway for everybody to join the temple. So forget that. But what it does mean, wherever you are, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the Brahmana, you stay in your place, no problem. Right? But be Krishna conscious. Think of Krishna. Keep association with Krishna devotees. Yes. Mike, okay, let's pass the mic back.
I want to take your permission, Bhima Prabhu. I want to add something what Maharaj is asking, and what you reply, I want to give little more details. Swasti prajabhyam paripalayantu nyayena margena mahin mahisha go brahmanebhyo shubham astu nityam lokaha samastaha sukhino bhavantu. It is the responsibility or doubt, it is responsibility of the king or leader or politician. Those are ruling the country, they must give good administration to devotees, cow, brahmanas, etc., etc. But who choose the government? We, prajaha. If praja not become qualified to how to choose the government, then praja also responsible for good or bad. So main thing here what Bhima Prabhu said, if our practice is religious, then automatically we will choose the good government, good leader, they can lead us very nicely. Hare Krishna.
But unfortunately, that's not the situation today. People are blind, anda, and therefore they pick another blind person. And that rascal says, follow me, I'll lead you. And they all fall in the ditch. Right? Unfortunately, that's the situation. But still, we don't have to be affected by the doshas, the bad qualities of Kali Yuga in our private lives, because we can chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Prabhupada, if you're in the cold weather, very cold, if you stand next to the fire, you'll be warm. You don't have to fear the cold. In the same way, if we keep ourselves close to Krishna, we don't have to fear the effects of Kali Yuga. And the best way to keep next to Krishna is by his name, the holy name of the Lord. So chant Hare Krishna. This month of December, try and distribute some transcendental literatures to the conditioned souls. And certainly, just as Krishna protected all the inhabitants of Braj in so many ways, he'll protect us also. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.